And I believe the race is now started. Unfortunately, my co-commentator is having a couple of internet issues. So right now it's going to be just me as we're starting off this run. So the very start of the run, we're going to see both of the runners most likely doing, well, pretty much assuredly doing the first run and gun level as soon as they get out of the menus. They technically don't have to do this level, but we'll see later on. They really want the extra 5 coins to use in the shop later on, so they can buy 2 weapons. I'll explain a little bit more about that as we get to the later bosses. But now we can look at this very first level. It's relatively simple, not too difficult to complete, but as it is the first level, it's very optimized, so it can catch a lot of people out, especially with the added pressure of a tournament race. And we'll see later on, it actually has one quite interesting trick. Hopefully our runners can manage it. It's a bit of a clip. You clip underneath one of the enemies, making the fight a lot faster. So it seems the Cole didn't get it. Dino got it, although he had to try twice there. And we'll see how the times pan out here. We're a little bit out of sync because we are running loadless times. It's just a lot fairer that way. It seems MrDino got a 38-second. That's because he got the glitch that the Cole didn't manage to get. He saved a little bit of time there. And now we're going to see them use the 5 coins they got from the first level and the 3 coins they got from the apple to buy 2 weapons. And that's going to come in really handy really quickly, considering this is the legacy patch, meaning they're playing on the old version of the game, the one that originally came out. And it has, this version of the game has a lot of interesting quirks to it, a lot of glitches. And one of those is known as the weapon switch glitch. It's a pretty descriptive name. All it really is the runners are switching the weapons really quickly between each other, and the cooldown of each particular weapon does not affect the cooldown of the other, so essentially you're shooting both of them at the same time. And, well, the effect is you're really just breezing through these bosses here.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have a co-commentator again. Welcome.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Like,
no
my
problem.
internet just went down and kind of had to warn everyone about my phone.
Yeah, I just
so, yeah,
explained
basically
a little bit about the weapon switch. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically thanks to this weapon swap glitch, we're going to be able to deal much more damage than the developers predicted. And because of that, we're going to be able to perform a lot of glitches and tricks that are facilitated a lot by this exploit. So starting from the Ravencrox fight, there is actually a very easy way to both skip phase 2 and get them on cycle on the fun phase, which I think we're going to see from both runners.
Hopefully so. See here they got a slightly different RNG on this fight. Technically MrDino's fight is a little bit slower, but it is a lot easier to do, at least I think so.
Yeah, true.
But it seems like the Cole is now with 2 HP, as is MrDino. Now the third phase can be a little bit tough depending on which phase you get at the end. The Cole there on 1 HP, it's looking pretty tight for him, but I think he's gonna manage to do it. Hopefully. No commentator score? There you go, he's done.
Yeah, I was actually expecting commentator scores there.
MrDino with 1 HP. Let's see if he can do it as well. If he doesn't, that would be quite a time loss, but he managed it. Very nice.
The Tiger's attack, which is the attack both runners got, is definitely one of the hardest ones to avoid and do optimally at the same time.
Yeah, it looks like they got a very similar time there. 46 seconds for the Cole and 47 for MrDino. So it's only been 2 fights, 2 bosses so far, but it's quite close right now.
Yeah, and even though the Cole got a slower stage on Forest Follies, thanks to the fact that he got better RNG on Ravencrox, he was able to make up some of that time that he lost.
Now this next fight is also quite simple. It's the Goopy fight. Really what you have to watch out here, or what the runners have to watch out for here, is his jumps. It can be a little tricky to land all of your shots and really get that optimized time.
Yeah,
the call is
true.
already done. It's a very quick fight. 23 is quite a decent time, I think, for a race.
Yeah, definitely solid. And let's see what Dino's gonna get. 25, still good. And quite a contrast going from one of the easiest fights in the game to one of the most complicated and difficult fights in the entire run. And that is simply because of one glitch, which I think we're going to see both runners at least trying to perform. It's called the Hilda glitch, where you can basically, there's a certain face transformation where she can transform into either Sagittarius or Gemini. And if you deal a very specific amount of damage to clear that phase as soon as it begins, then what's going to happen is that Hilda is going to get stuck in that specific transformation until the end of the fight. And the reason why getting that is advantageous is because it skips a later phase transformation where Hilda is invincible. So you end up saving about 8 seconds just by getting that glitch.
That's right. It is very tricky though, because the window for the amount of damage you have to do is very tight. Both you can both under damage and do nothing, or over damage and actually get Hilda just pass through the next phase instead of freeing her. But we can see the call actually got it there.
Yeah, that is very nice.
Stuck on Sagittarius there.
One thing that I don't think most runners realize is that you know if you got the glitch as soon as the phase begins because the background is lighter than usual.
You can actually see here MrDino gets the very long animation there. That's what really loses you time here, because he unfortunately did not manage to get the glitch. That's gonna lose him a couple of seconds there for sure. But they're still really close here, nearing the end of aisle 1. But really, the race has only just started. We've still got aisle 2 and aisle 3, which can really change things up.
Yeah, the later sections of the game can be very brutal. In specific, like I think we're going to see one boss later on, Dr. Car's robot, which might or might not make one of the runners lose a lot of time. So even a discrepancy of 10 seconds early on in the game might not matter as much if the later end of the game is going to be brutal to one of the runners.
And actually, I noticed there at the end of the last fight, the Cole got a 111 and MrDino got a 106. So actually, even though MrDino didn't get the glitch, that's actually still quite close. It's only a 5-second loss.
I'm pretty sure the Cole was the one to get 106.
Oh, did I mess it up? Yeah, that's what I meant.
I think you got them switched out.
My bad.
Anyway, Kegani Coronation is a pretty simple fight overall. Like, there's not much to it. There are a few scare attacks that you kind of want to dodge, but apart from that, it's not that much. There's not that much to worry about in this fight. Both runners clearing the fight with a pretty good time.
That's true, but now we have aisle 2, which is quite a bit more tricky than aisle 1, I think. Even the first fight can, due to RNG, make for a time difference between these two runners.
Yeah, there are definitely a handful of run killers in aisle 2. The Call is fighting one of the most RNG-based bosses in the run. Baroness von Bonbon can summon 3 minions out of a selection of 5, and of course some minions are faster than others. So there are a few minions that you really do not want to get, like the Jawbreaker, which has a really long death animation. And if you get that, then you're going to lose like 2 seconds from that. Speaking of which, that's
yeah, there it is. It heard its name and it came out to play.
Since we're going off of loadless times, I am pretty sure both runners are about equal in time, because I kind of took note of the time exiting the aisle 1 dieouts. I'm pretty sure it's like 1 second difference at most.
And now we're gonna see the Call pick up the second. Oh dear, that's a death there for Nino. Really unfortunate for him. That's it was a close race right now, and it still is, to be honest. A lot can still happen. We still, as I said, we still have all of aisle 2 and aisle 3 to go. Plenty of tricky bosses. But now we see the Cole actually got the second airplane weapon, meaning he can do the weapon switch glitch in the flying bosses as well. But it's a little bit different this time, because instead of just mashing the button, you actually have to be you have to find the perfect rhythm for it. The big bomb cooldown is a lot longer than the normal pea shooter cooldown, so you have to kind of match it with the cooldown of that weapon. And like that, you can still do basically double damage. Well, the damage of both of the weapons at the same time.
Yeah. Even though it loses a tiny little bit of time to talk to an NPC to get bombs in the first place, it's
the call there on 1 HP. Sorry, he's on 1 HP, and this is really scary for him right now, but he just manages to get it. Very nice.
Yeah. Good job to the call.
That's quite a tough fight, especially in the tournament. We've seen plenty of people lose a lot of time here due to the deaths.
Oh yeah, Wally Warbots is also like one of the fights that, if it goes wrong, it can go very wrong. It's one of the fights that can snowball the hardest from a very simple slight mistake. It's not a big surprise seeing runners losing a lot of time to Wally Warbots or even dying.
Cole now is entering the next boss. This one's also quite interesting because we see a similar glitch to what we already saw on Hilda, where you basically freeze the boss on one of the phases, skipping some animations and making the boss making the boss faster is what I meant to say.
Yeah, saving a bit of time from phase transitions. And all of this is helped by a hidden hitbox that is located down below. The goal is not just shooting mini bombs down just because it wants to. He's actually hitting a hidden hitbox down below that's dealing damage. And thanks to that, he's able to deal enough damage to trigger the phase transition. Luckily, it's not like Hilda, where the damage you have to deal is very precise. All you have to do is deal more damage so that you clear the phase before it even begins.
It's right. He is on 2 HP right now, so it's a little scary for him on 1 HP there. But he did some
being at 1 HP. Being at 1 HP in this phase is very scary. And the goal actually staying up in front, taking the risk.
He was actually very close to getting hit there at the end as well, but he managed to avoid it, which is nice for him. It's a 1 minute exact, and we'll see how MrDino does compared to that. Right now, the Cole is still he's still faster than MrDino due to the unfortunate death. But he's gonna have to watch out. He's probably under quite a bit of pressure right now. He probably knows that. Well, he's playing a pretty good game so far, the Cole. He hasn't died yet, but he doesn't know what MrDino's time is like. So, really, it's a guessing game for both of them right now, unless they have the stream open, I suppose.
Yeah, having a death, especially that early on, cannot be very simple to take for runners. Because then you start wondering, where is my opponent? How is he doing? If he's ahead, then can I really save this?
Actually, we see the Cole get another glitch similar to the previous two we've seen, where you freeze the boss again. But this one's quite interesting since all of the phases get kind of overlaid on top of each other. It's quite a mess.
Yeah, it's one of the most spectacular glitches to watch in the run, in my opinion. It works exactly like Jimmy, where you kind of clear the second phase before it even begins. And when you do that, then Peppy is going to freeze in the second phase for the entirety of the fight. And you get that garbled mess, which you're going to see again on MrDino's screen, hopefully. While the Cole is on the Dragon, which is right casually one of the hardest bosses in the game. I remember when I first played the game, I was stuck here for like an hour or something.
Yeah,
I think both runners are going to make this boss look pretty easy though. Also maybe help, actually the Cole is going for a glitch. It doesn't really save time, but it makes the fight much easier. It works on the exact same principle as Peppy and Jimmy. You can freeze him in the second phase. And it skips the third phase, which is a bit difficult to go through, honestly. There is a good backup, but if you're at 1 HP on the final phase, then it can be pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah, but he got it there. He managed to freeze the boss in that second phase. Gets a 36, which is quite good for a tournament, I think.
Yeah.
And we'll see how MrDino does on that as well. But the call is really holding it together right now. He's playing a good game, and he's off to aisle 3 now. Let's see if he can manage to keep this lead up.
Yeah, I'll note the time as soon as the call exits the house so that you can make a comparison later. While he's also approaching one of the really notorious boss for this run. Okay, so he got a 1349. Let's note that. Basically, there is a specific RNG pattern that you can get on this boss, where if you do get that pattern, it ends up saving 8 seconds or the entire fight, which would be very nice in a race to get. And of course, for record attempts, it is a pretty infamous fight, because you usually never get the good pattern runs.
And as he said that, he did not get it. He got the left pattern.
Yeah, which is the slowest one.
MrDino, actually, we see, did not get the same glitch that the call got. And now he's basically using the fact that there's no hitbox at the back of the dragon. And just you can stay there and do damage instead. It's a little bit more tricky than just doing the glitch, but it actually doesn't lose much time, or it doesn't really lose any time at all. It's just harder to perform.
Yeah, for sure.
He did get a 36 as well, so that's the same as the call.
Yeah, MrDino definitely holding off. The call is approaching Dr. Car's robot, which is usually a really long fight, and really long and difficult. But there is a very specific glitch you can do to end the fight on the first phase. But unfortunately, that trick is also very precise, so we might see the call reset a few times if he doesn't quite get the damage he wants to.
Yeah, this could actually be MrDino's chance.
Go ahead.
This could actually be MrDino's chance to make back some time if the call gets stuck here a bit.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Actually, there we go. You have one retry. That's about 15 seconds of time lost for him. Yeah, but he's still doing good if he manages it. Yeah, go ahead now. I'm done.
I think MrDino was at 14:19, if I'm not mistaken, exiting the die house. So that means the call was 30 seconds ahead, exiting the die house. The call getting the knockout though, finally.
Yeah, I believe that means he's still gonna be he's still gonna have a lead of about 15-ish seconds. If MrDino manages to get the glitch on the first try. The call glitch, I mean.
MrDino going to the final phase, which is a very scary one. But luckily she had only a few HP left. You can usually entirely skip this phase. You can get the knockout way before this even becomes a threat. But if you don't, then you have to get here, and it's a chase from below. It's very hard to hit her. You really do not want to play this phase. Piccolo's is on one of the easiest fights in aisle 3, honestly. It's a pretty hard to optimize fight, that is for sure, but just in terms of safety, I don't think we're going to see many deaths coming from this boss. Unless runners get overconfident with damage and start thinking damage that they shouldn't. But the call getting a knockout pretty easily. While MrDino is on the robot, let's see how many tries it's going to take him to get the robot.
Yeah, this is a big one. If he manages first try, and he saves a bit of time there, as I said before. Unfortunately, he doesn't get it. And we'll see if he gets the second try.
Yeah,
this is still anyone's race. This is still anyone's race. Anyone could win this. We've had deaths even on the Devil before, and on plenty of the bosses beforehand.
That is definitely true. And MrDino getting the knockout. So second try robot for him too. I think there's still on a 30 seconds difference, more or less.
It's quite interesting. This is actually quite a close race, except for that one death that MrDino had. It's quite interesting to see. Cole is finishing up the other very easy fight on aisle 3.
Yeah, there is one trick to this boss, and the Cole decided to skip it. Basically, you can dodge the flame from up above instead of dropping down, which saves a bit of time because you do not stop the damage output. By dropping down, you can only hit the roundabout, while by staying up above, you can also hit the lobber. So that's more DPS. But going down is definitely the safer choice, and I don't blame him since he's on a race.
Yeah, and it doesn't really lose much time at all. Alright, the call is now starting a very interesting boss fight in Isle 3. One that I think many people, when they first try and play and both run this game, have a lot of trouble with.
Yeah, it's one of the weirdest bosses in the game because of how weird the hitbox is positioned, and it's also one of the most RNG-based bosses in the run. It's usually not that bad. The time difference usually is not more than within 3 seconds of difference from pattern to pattern, but there are a few specific patterns which are possible to cycle on, but they are extremely tight to get the good damage. And the reason why you want to clear the fight in as few cycles as possible is because it is one of those cycle-based fights where Briny actually gets invincibility once he reaches a certain point. So you really want to clear the pirate phase with as few cycles as possible to do that. MrDino on Burner Brahma, let's see if he's going to do the jump now. He's actually gonna go down just like the call.
Yeah, he is on he's actually there, so decided to play it safe.
Yeah, I don't blame him, although he's a bit behind at this point. The call is on Calamaria, which is one of the most dangerous bosses in the run. The optimal way to go through the first phase is to just think a few attacks, but that means that you have to do the rest of the fight with 1 HP, which is very scary. For sure.
Again, I think we should repeat here that the race is actually taking into account a loadless time, so even though it looks like the call is quite far ahead of MrDino. Oh my god, and he dies there. Never mind that. He's gonna... That's quite a loss for him. That makes the race really close now.
For sure.
How much time he lost there, but this is
close. That was towards the end of the fight, so he probably lost more than 30 seconds from that. He opted to stay away from Calamaria. If you stand close enough, you can dodge that petrifying gaze that she throws out. Like, the hitbox is just doesn't reach very close to her. So if you stay close, you don't have that much to worry about. But I think what the call was worried about was those spike balls, so he kind of just decided to stay a bit further away. And because of that, exactly when the call decided to go away, Calamaria decided to also do one of the petrifying gazes, which set up for a pretty good trap.
Oh, and we have a death from MrDino as well now.
Ooh.
Wow. As I said, I mean, this is still anyone's race. They both got a death each now, and we've still got some tricky fights coming up ahead, so really, this is still extremely close.
This is still anyone's game, yeah.
But yeah, as I was saying before, don't rely on synchronization of the two screens because they're using loadless times. You have to look at the times and when they enter fights.
Yeah.
Alright, the call is now on quite a tricky boss. If you die on this one, you actually risk losing a lot of time. I think it might be the longest fight of the game. I'm not entirely sure. But
I think it's the longest fight in the game after King dies, yeah.
Ah, that's right, yeah, King dies, of course.
It's also one of the most technical fights. There's a lot of tricky stuff, precise things that are going on in this fight. And if one of those doesn't go as well, it's a fight that can snowball really quickly.
Yeah, definitely getting a rogue hit, taking 1 HP of damage more than you thought you would, can be very tricky, especially in that last phase, which is quite hectic.
Well, not getting softlock. There is a pretty infamous softlock in this fight, which no one really knows the reason why it happens. after you clear the twin phase, sometimes the fight can just stop from progressing, and thus soft-locking the fight and forcing you to retry. But it's pretty rare. Luckily, we did not see it, and I don't think we've ever seen it in the tournament yet.
MrDino's on 1 HP as well there on Calamaria. Let's see if he manages to do it.
Yeah,
pretty close.
Pretty important fight for him too.
And he gets it. There we go. He used the nuke there, I think, to avoid the spike as well as to do the finishing blow. Just quite close.
So the call on the
actual fastest fight, or the actual slowest fight. Oh god, this one's interesting because you have to roll the ideal numbers to get the fastest mini bosses. Which, I mean, these are quite experienced runners, so I don't think they're gonna have problems with that. But the actual fight itself can be a little tricky as well if you don't get the extra HP. Ideally, you have at least like 3 HP for the final phase, so you can really tank hits and kill King Dice fast.
Yeah, and Nicole actually did get good luck. What people usually opt to go for are number 2, 4, and 9, which is the fastest combination of bosses. And he got a heart on both 4 and 9. So that means he can afford to play a little bit riskier than normal, if he wants to. MrDino just barely can hit the 1 cycle on the skeleton. If he does go back into the strain, then it loses about 3 seconds.
It looks like MrDino is going to have 3 HP for that last phase, so most likely not going to have too many issues with that.
Yeah, that's true. In the meantime, the call is... I don't know if it's going to go for number 8 or number 9. Number 9 is the fastest one, which is the monkey. It's usually a game of memory. But there is a specific glitch that you can do to skip the entire game.
I actually went for number 8 there, which is interesting.
Yeah. Number 8 is still a pretty fast mini-boss, but unfortunately, the board doesn't just line up in a favorable position. And due to doing this boss instead, is going to have to do 1 additional die roll. So doing this boss, even though it's just a little bit slower than the monkey, due to that fact, it's actually about 10 seconds slower to opt for number 8.
But it's interesting because now he didn't get the extra HP, and he actually took a hit on the 8-ball, which is going to make the last phase a little bit tougher for him. He's not just going to be able to tank there. Let's see what
taking it safe on the dice and taking the berries. The optimal thing would be to just skip the berries and take it, which you can even do with 2 HP with precise movement, but I don't play the call for playing it safe here.
MrDino is actually not as lucky as the call. He didn't get any extra HP, I believe.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So he's going to have to play quite safe.
I would see if MrDino is going to decide to go for the monkey, which we might see and showcase. Which is, I think, the only boss that we defeat by clipping out of bounds. I think it's gonna be interesting if we actually do see that.
MrDino unfortunately took 1 hit there on the chips, so he's also gonna have 2 or even less on the last phase.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't have any healing coming up. The goal getting the worst attack on the devil is the most time-consuming attack he has. Because it kind of just bounces around and it's hard to hit him. Not only hard, but like physically impossible at times.
Actually, earlier while you were talking, MrDino took another HP, so that's gonna be a little scary for him at the last phase, but I believe if he just plays safe, he's gonna finish it. Fingers crossed, of course.
The goal on the second to last phase of the devil end of the game. So I think we might see finish soon.
Yeah, there it is. Cole finished his race there. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any way of MrDino making up that time, so That's GG for the call.
Yeah, we're gonna wait on saying anything official because look, this time does mean that the fact that MrDino is finishing later doesn't necessarily imply his loss, but I think the call is the clear victor here, since he only had one death compared to MrDino's 2.
Honestly, both the runners had quite a decent run today. It really was just those couple of deaths there, but other than that, I think we saw some. Well, we're seeing some pretty good runs.
Yeah.
MrDino manages to finish with 1 HP, and now he just has the double to defeat.
Yeah, entering the devil. We did not get to see much of the devil because the weapon swap glitch just eats through bosses like very easily. But the devil's first phase is actually pretty random. He has a pretty wide variety of attacks he can choose from. So let's see what MrDino is going to get. Alright, this attack pattern has a 50% chance to be either the dragon, which he got, or the spider, so he got pretty lucky there.
Hey guys.
Hey!
Hello. GG for the run, congrats.
Yeah, it was a run, apparently. I mean, today, I have to be honest with you. Today, I did my best. Today, I didn't really have energy and mindset better than I did. I played all the time with the fear of dying. In the end, I actually died once at Cala Maria. Actually, the only boss decided to play greedy. Every other boss decided to go very safe and not taking any risk. And it maybe much. I mean, because I was too afraid of dying. In the end, MrDino wasn't even that far. I mean, he got a good time, so it was buried enough. It's been buried enough. Wow. Bye, Dino.
Yeah.
GG.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, GG to the both of you.
Oh man.
I was above run. Actually, run. I have to be honest. I don't know why. I played so scared all the time. I just didn't just hoping that the run finishes as soon as possible because I don't know. When I race this game, I have this very bad mindset when I just play with a lot of scare and cannot really focus. And I have to be honest, I play much better against Luigi. Against Luigi, I died for his follies. Very first boss. I mean, after 50 minutes, the race was already over. So I mean, I played more free with a better mind setting, and I actually clutched a couple of good boss fights. But here, man, I don't know. It's
I mean,
run.
I can definitely understand that. I mean, you were up against a pretty tough opponent for sure, but you did not have to necessarily whip out the riskiest of strategies to win the race. So you could afford to play a little bit safer overall and still be able to win the race.
That. I mean, it wasn't even that. I mean, today I think I would have played like that even against everyone. Honestly, it's not because of MrDino. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, today I wasn't the good mindset, honestly, and I approached the race the wrong mindset at all. I mean, it was. And as soon as I started the race, I just realized, okay, here I was more scared of what could have been wrong, of what I'm not really confident with. And indeed, if you notice, I mean, the very first alarm of this was the Ribbon Crocs fight. Where actually there, I got the tiger part, and I was very scared of that. And very first moment I got hit, and that moment I just decided to play safe, no EX, nothing, just stay alive. And already from there I understood that, okay.
You don't know it. You don't know it, but I almost cursed you as well. So you had that going against you as well.
and actually I managed dying at Calamaria. I mean, the only boss decided to play greedy, and I got very bad RNG there because I mean, there was nothing I could have done there because as soon as I tried to dodge the wall, I got blasted by the petrifying race. That was checkmate. That was checkmate. I mean, I don't think I could have done much more than that. That was unlucky, honestly. So, I mean, that happened. And I mean, the only good thing is that I managed a couple of scary situations really well. Wally was scary, I survived. Genie was scary, I survived. Robot, I took his second try. I was an okay. I was around. I mean,
You managed to glitch Hilda as well, which was quite nice.
Second, yeah, apparently I'm subscribed to Hilda glitches this tournament since. But even there, I was more scared of dying because I was even scared to parry things. Just to give you an idea of how badly I approached this race. So,
As well as you also clutched Jimmy pretty well, because you were at 1 HP towards the end of the fight and you still decided to stay very up close and personal.
You know what? Because I absolutely don't know how to play safe that fight. That's the only way I know. So for me, playing safe there is way more risky than just playing risky. It may sound strange, but actually I never tried to play risky, keep my distances. I never done it. And do it the first time during a race? Not a good idea. I just had to stick with what I was more confident. I mean, in that situation, to me, it seemed more safe playing like that.
Yeah, that is true. Trying to do strategies you don't really know very well how to do, even if they're supposedly safer, they end up being actually harder if you don't actually know exactly what you're doing. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Dino got a good run because I mean, he wasn't even far from his PB, so he actually played well.
Yeah, I don't think we asked him. How did you feel about your run, Dino?
Dino.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually
It's like he's not
able to hear
available.
us.
I still see you on Diamond Air. Oh, right. I see some noises. Maybe he has some trouble with the microphone.
Maybe we can have him back.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Alright.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, my microphone. I really need to change it, like, now. If I feel like commentating.
No.
Yeah, it seems to be cutting out a little bit.
I mean,
But yeah.
Hello.
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 I'm gonna try it one more time. So yeah, about my run, I'm actually okay with the run. I got some goals on the way, so I'm happy with those goals. I think if it wasn't for the 2 deaths, this could have potentially PV. But I mean, stuff happens. It's Cuphead. The one that I feel the most bad about, I actually feel bad about the 2 deaths, but even more the one with Briny Bird. I don't think I should have died on that one. For the one in Baroness, I was caught by surprise by the little corn candy that it left in the middle of the screen. I didn't see that, and suddenly I got hit by that as soon as I killed the corn candy. But the one in Briny Bird, I feel that was 100% my fault. I shouldn't have died there, but it's okay. I'm okay with this race because I got some goals. Yeah, just I guess I don't think I have any chances anymore to get out of the group, but I'm going to still try my best to with the races that I have left.
I don't know. Actually, it's kind of tricky. Maybe you still have some chances, but for sure it's no longer on you. You have to also pray for kind of
For some
strange
upsets.
combinations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean there are still 2 races, good races. Luigi and Hidaka, so which is also a good friend of yours. So it's gonna be a great race. Yeah. And I would like to underline that if you wonder why I actually played the 8 ball instead of the monkey, I just missed the roll dice.
Oh,
Simply because of that. Simply because of that, I just missed the roll dice. I wasn't really concerned by, I don't want to risk the monkey glitch. I was prepared to do it, but I simply missed the roll dice. I don't know if this actually saved me, but it was a mistake. I swear it was a mistake. I wanted to roll a 3, I rolled a 2, and luckily when I landed on the easiest fight of the round. Luckily for me, this ball is very easy. yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it made you play a little safer on the last phase as well, since you took a damage there, and you didn't get the extra HP you would have on Monkey.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I play safe all the race. I mean, once I died, I was less prone to play safe because I mean, once I die, I mean, I have nothing to lose. I mean, in the chances that Dino had a good run, which was very likely. I mean, actually, I wasn't even sure to win before the death because I would have got a low 26, which could have been not even enough. So I wasn't really sure to win even before the death. After the death. Still, it wasn't really my day, so I take the win for sure. But
yeah,
if I want to go farther, I need to step up a lot.
It could have gone both ways for sure, right up till the end. It was quite a good race to watch, for sure.
Yeah. Alright, so yeah, it looks like next week I'm gonna have a bye, so I'm not gonna play next round.
Good luck with the bye.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Very tough opponent for sure. I mean, I'm gonna focus on other games, not other stuff coming, so I'm a bit excited by that. But yeah, so GG to Dino, was a great race for sure. Tough opponent, like expected. He put me on pressure, definitely put me on pressure, because he actually forced me to play more safer than I had. So props to him for that. And I knew that was an hard match and wasn't really scared to come into this. And, I mean, I won, but it's a detail. I mean, I could have lost the same way. And I'm just lucky to have won this, honestly. And yeah, let's win the next one.
Well, GG back to you, Andrea. I definitely enjoy racing against you all the time.
Hopefully we'll have a chance to do more race. Maybe in other games, I don't know.
For sure, for sure.
Learn SMB Wordless. God damn it. Start learning that game. It's not long to learn. I learned in less than a month, so you can do it. If I've done it, you can do it as well.
I will give it a try.
So yeah, now we can race that. And Cuphead. I may try. I may learn more categories, I guess, rather than just all bosses regular legacy. We'll see. But yeah, that's all. If you someone has more question,
yeah,
you can stop.
I think if no one has anything else to add, we can end this.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for the commentary. Thank you, Andrea, for the race, and thank you, Speed Gaming, for the restream.
Yeah, sure. Bye, guys.
Bye.
So yeah, thank you for watching.